Today I'm joined by pro long distance triathlete Marko Albert.
Hello, good to be on the show.
Thank you for joining us. Now Marko has an Ironman win, an Ironman 70.3 win and an ITU World Cup podium to his name, and you're currently out here on a training camp, hence the training wheel setup. So we're going to take a look at his Trek Speed concept and some of his kits. Right, first of all, let's take a look at the bike. It's the Trek Speed concept, and this is the Project One. So there's a few customizations with Project One. Run us through it, Marko.
Sure. Well, the first thing that comes to mind is the color. It's the most visible thing. It was chosen not by me. It was chosen by the representative of Trek in Estonia. When I first got on Trek, it was spring 2013. I was weighed and I was measured, and the first frame I got was by those measurements. And since I haven't grown an inch, nor have I gone wider, therefore the frames produced later on were used with the same stats.
Okay, so in that you mean certain parts of the frame the sizes are changed in relation to those geometries, the stats you've given Trek?
Yes, exactly. About the length of my upper body and the length of my legs.
Okay, so really like optimizing a position, making sure you get into a comfortable and aerodynamic position.
Absolutely. Well, I've been working on that position for ages and for with different people. Two of the last seasons I've been working with a wind tunnel in Arizona called Faster, and Aaron Ross has been sort of with me and getting me towards the position he thinks I'm the most aerodynamical. So that means also working on different areas, not just screwing or unscrewing a bolt on the bike or lowering the front end or raising my seat.
Super. Well, let's take a look at some of the specifics. So first of all, the front end, the cockpit. Okay, so the base bar is a fully integrated Bontrager system with the stem and then into the aero poles, and it's got a nice sort of wide and thin aerodynamic base bar here. I understand you've changed one or two parts on the aero bar setup.
Yes, because the normal aero bar that comes with the set didn't allow me to extend my position far enough. Therefore, Bontrager actually has a little piece that you can replace, and you can use your own bars. And with this also came the possibility for me to, for races, put a Torhans Aero Z bottle right here, and put everything I need and tuck it away nicely. So I'll take away the computer for racing, and I'll put it here. Okay. So everything is between my arms.
Will you use that Garmin or a slightly smaller one for race day?
I use slightly smaller one, the 510 for racing, but I use this one for training just because it looks big.
So you see where you go and get the map up. Okay, and then obviously on the end of your poles you've got the Shimano Dura-Ace 9150 group set on the bike, so you've got the electronic gears on the end of the poles and also on the base bar, so obviously quite handy for technical courses or when you're climbing out of the saddle. And then I've also noticed you've got some little red things sticking out here, so these are salt sticks, I believe.
Yes, and a turbo button, so you can switch it on a hill and then you go really fast.
If only. For some of our viewers that maybe aren't fully aware of what salt sticks are, how do they work? What are they?
Well, salt sticks is basically salt capsules in the same amount of ratio that you're sweating out. So it works, you put the 6 caps in race morning. So, and then you just need to twist it basically in order the capsule to pop out.
Okay.
And to have 12, I can always lose 1 or 2 and I'll still survive. Sure. Because this in high speed, it's still, you need to be aware when you take them out that you gotta take the capsule and put it in your mouth.
Okay, so there's a little bit of training that's needed to go in with this.
Absolutely. Don't try this first thing in the race.
All right. Well, moving on from that and onto the brakes. So these are the Bontrager integrated brakes. It's probably worth noting Bontrager is Trek's in-house brand, so we've got a lot of Bontrager components on here. Got integrated brake at the front here, and also under the bottom bracket with its own aero shell. And I understand you're a big fan of these brakes.
Yes, of course I'm a fan of brake that actually brakes. So TT bikes are notorious of not having a very good rear brake, but Trek works really well, that department.
All right, well, moving back through the bike and onto the crankset, as I've already mentioned, you've got Dura Ace kitted out on the bike. So we've got Dura Ace crankset, and this is a 5339 setup, but you've mentioned to me that obviously we're here on a training camp, and for a race you actually changed this.
Yes, I changed about 3 weeks before the race, and I changed the isometric chain rings. 54-42 is my preferred combo, and since I think it's 2016 I've been using it, like all the races.
Is there any reason why you train on standard setup and switch to race?
Yes, the thing is with isometric chain rings you don't work so hard on your hamstring because it's shorter. So you work more on the quads, less on the hamstring. Therefore, hamstring gets less developed. And if I'm on the oval chain ring for the whole year, the hamstring gets weaker and weaker.
Okay.
But come race day, I still need that hamstring to engage and be strong. Therefore, for training camps, I'll start out with normal chain rings and then switch over. Sometimes sooner, sometimes later. It just depends on the race and the travel and how I go.
That's really interesting. Okay, and then the crank arm you're running 170 length, and then on the end of those we've got the Garmin Vector pedals and power meter.
Yes, they're the original Vectors, which I've upgraded 2 times with new pedal bodies because they just wear out after.
That's
after
just wear and
cycling.
tear, doing a lot of miles.
Absolutely. When you cycle about 17 to 20,000 kilometers a year, they do tend to wear out. And but they've been working really well. I have no issues with the data.
Super, and we've got the 9150 front mech and rear mech from Shimano Dura-Ace. And well, I've noticed here we've got some white residue on the chain, and I have noticed these Ceramic Speed logos. So this is obviously the Ceramic Speed coating on the chain.
Yes, I do switch almost everything over for racing. I do bottom bracket bearings, they go ceramic in. Then the rail derailleur, I switch it over to oversized pulley wheels, and yes, this chain is still white, like Starkey said, it's a cocaine chain. So yes, it's a cocaine chain from Ironman Hawaii. I actually started riding TT bike this week. I've been enjoying, and my crouch has been enjoying the road bike so far.
Okay, and then the cassette you're running an 1128. Again, you're here on a training camp. Would you switch that out for race day?
Yes, I think I mainly carry 1125.
Well, as we've mentioned a few times already, you're here on a training camp. You haven't got your race wheels on. These are the Bontrager race training wheels. What would you be riding on for race day?
For Ironman Hawaii, I was riding Bontrager Airless wheels, 7 in the front and 9 in the back. And for European racing, I just use a disc in the back and I keep the 7 in the front.
Okay, and they're a clincher wheel set?
Yeah, I like clincher, and now that tires have been improving, their technology has been improving so much, clinchers are actually faster now, so therefore clincher wheels.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. And then tire choice for race day?
I've had 2 different choices for the past year. In Kona, I was riding Continental GP 4000 limited edition, and the other races last year I was riding Bontrager, I believe R9, and I decided to go on a Conti more on basis that Conti is more puncture proof. but they're quite the same. I don't get my hands on those limited edition tires that world champions get hands on. Like somebody hands you from TT World Championships the same tires that were under a world champion, they get brought to you and you can put on your bike.
Sure.
That doesn't happen to me. I have to settle with stuff I can buy.
Nothing wrong with that. Do you have a preferred width of the tyre?
Either 23 or 25.
Okay. For Kona, what did you ride there?
I believe I was riding 23.
Cool, so let's move on to some of the sort of finishing touches. We've got the Bontrager storage box behind, so I assume that's just for sort of spares on race day and whilst you're training. In terms of the bottle setup, obviously you've got just standard bottle cages for training. What would you change for race day?
I'll move the front one here and put an air bottle there for gels generally, but I keep this bottle cage just in case because I've experienced that sometimes Ironman aid stations aren't too long, and when you need to grab water and something else, you need to be quick and you need to be able to put it somewhere, and it's really hard to put it behind the seat.
Okay, so do you actually get rid of this for a race, or you leave it there?
I'll leave it there. I'll leave it there.
Well.
I have this one as.
So it's not
sure.
quite as aerodynamic, but I guess the time lost there can actually be outweighed by maybe missing a bottle and costing you having to miss an aid station.
Well, it's especially costly in Hawaii because the last aid station is 20k out of T2 and it's really, really hot at midday. So I personally made sure that I get 2 waters that I can pour myself in the next 20k, and for that reason this is a golden solution.
Brilliant. Well, on the subject of nutrition, where do you store your gels on the bike for race day?
Well, gels go to the aero bottle and all the solids go here. There's a Bontrager box that I
like
use.
A silicone sort of flexible plastic.
Yeah, flexible plastic, sort of hardcore on the bottom and silicone on the top, so you can get everything out.
Brilliant. And the final thing on the bike, your saddle. So you've got the ISM PS 1.0, so this is a split nose design, so you can sort of get yourself nicely forward and tilt your hips around. Is this something you played around with, tried different saddles?
No. Once I switched on ISM saddles, this is my preference.
No turning back?
No, absolutely not. Because I was sort of really struggling to find a good TT position. I was either on the left side or right side or somewhere there, and once my first fitter gave me a possibility to try this ISM saddle, I'm a firm believer of this. I believe my crouch lives a better life since 2012.
Right, Marko, let's move on to some of your kit. So we've got your helmet here and your bike shoes. So this is the helmet that you used for Kona. It's the Bontrager Ballista. Talk me through it.
Well, it's Aero Road helmet, which is 2 good things. It's good, well ventilated, which is important for Hawaii, because I really can't stand when my head gets boiling. Like, you really need somewhat work with your brain as well when you're racing. Hence that choice.
Well, let's move on to your bike shoes. So these are actually standard road shoes from Bontrager, and you're using these for triathlon, so you're not using triathlon specific shoes.
Yes, about 2 years ago I wanted to try them on. It's like just how they feel, and I tried them on and they were a bit better than Bontrager triathlon shoes. And then I tried out how it is to put them on wet feet transition. You fiddling around here, and it worked out quite well.
Okay, so potentially a few seconds lost, but you found a good knack to it, and actually then your foot's nicely secure in the shoe.
Absolutely.
And over 180k, that makes a big difference.
It does. Plus, these shoes are quite a lot stiffer. But for 40k, for Olympic distance, I would go with tri-shoe. but for 180k, the comfort, the stiffness of the shoe matters a little bit more.
Super, well that's really interesting, and thanks so much for joining us today, Marko. If you'd like to see more videos from GTN, click on the globe and subscribe.
Yeah, and if you like to see more of the pro bikes, click there.
If you'd like to see a Pro Hacks video, just click down here.